Very good morning to all of you. Hare Krishna. And let's go today for the second session on Pitta Prakriti. Before we start, let's just take 2 minutes to come to a present moment. You can sit comfortably wherever you are, keeping your back straight, sitting upright. And roll your shoulders, bring them down, and see if you're holding any tension in your shoulders, neck, back. Try to release it with the help of your exhalations. Now, bring your awareness on your breathing. Observe the rhythmic flow of your breath flowing in and out. With every exhalation, try to let go of any discomfort, stress, stiffness out from the body. You can also exhale through your mouth. Again, take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth. Let's now chant 3 rounds of Omkar together. Take a deep breath in. Gently rubbing your palms together, bringing the warmth of your palms on your face, opening your eyes inside the palms, and gently bringing your hands down. Okay, nice. So today, day 2, we are going to discuss on the Pitta Prakriti. Now, how many of you are Pitta Prakriti here? Few of you remember our Vata yesterday. Few must be coming. Okay, so I want to know from you a little bit about the Pitta Prakriti, about what you have experienced personally because of that. Because of its imbalance maybe, or balance, whatever. So yeah, you can either unmute or put in the chat box and say. So Shivangi wants to say something. Flare up easily. Okay. You might have someone Pitta around you, so maybe you have good experience also of that, if you are not the one.
They are radiant, bold, target oriented.
Yes, very nice. I'm getting some amazing answers in the chat box. Getting hungry easily. I would say getting angry easily when hungry.
They are outspoken.
Outspoken.
Very responsive.
Very responsive.
Passionate for their work.
Passionate. Perfectionist. Can't tolerate any crease in the sheet when they make the bed. They want to come back and do it neatly till that time they don't get peace of mind. God knows how many of you experience that. Okay, physiological wise relates to tonsillitis, acidity, correct. Okay, so very interesting Prakriti also. But remember yesterday we were talking about Vata Prakriti, that how they can take wonderful initiatives. Then Pitta people can be a good manager. They can kind of sustain the project also because they are perfectionists. They will put their 100%, and that's what gives them that passion. So Pittas are, passionate people. Can't let go things easily. Can't compromise on things easily. They don't like to do it. If they do it, then there is some anger building up inside. Even if they have to let go sometimes, it's very difficult to let go. I'm sure many of you must have experienced these symptoms. And one of the best symptoms that I have come across in my childhood, where my father explained me, I remember my brother, when he used to come home, he would always get angry as soon as he entered home. He would start shouting and like just uneasy about something. And I, as a younger sister, would not understand him. I would get more irritated on him. And I would say, why is he doing like this? Why just he can't behave? Why is he like shouting and throwing things around? And then my father and told my mother and me that you all should just give him some food when he comes. That's it. He'll be fine. At that time, we didn't realize his sweet advice. We were like, whatever. Then immediately we started doing it, that as soon as he comes home, we were more mindful to make him sit to eat. And the problem was solved. He was not hungry anymore. He also realized that as soon as I come, I need to eat. He's hungry. So that was his Pitta Prakriti that made him do so. So Pittas are all, they get very hungry. When they get hungry, they need to eat at that time. So these are some common traits, they're ambitious, perfectionist, perfect planners, and uh, physiologically, some diseases that are related to Pitta Prakriti are anything to do with inflammation, infections, heat related issues in the body, like acidity, one of the common thing that must be knowing with pitta increase ho gaya na, we say like that, and a fever, etc. So all heat related issues in the body, inflammation, infection, fever, skin issues as well. Yes, Veena ji, correct. Skin issues as well, acne, etc. So they are kind of the supplementary disorders that we get along with our excess pitta at times in the body, including migraine also many times. Some diseases are a combination. Remember that. It's not just one prakriti flaring it up. It's a combination, but again, the prominent side of it. think there's some issue with the internet connection. I just exited the meeting somehow. So Ria, you can make me the host again. And I'll start. Okay, so I was talking about the psychological issues that if there is excess pitta is anger, ego, aggression, lot of competitiveness, right? And this is exactly what happens in the asana approach also. Since our main subject matter has been asana since yesterday, what I see in the classrooms also with Pitta Prakriti participants is they get easily discouraged when they are not able to do certain pose. They are in that worry of not doing things right in asana as well. They can't easily give up the results because that's the passion, they have, that they want to be perfect at things. And that attitude exactly troubles them more, of not relaxing in the pose. Because instead of relaxing in the pose, or instead of going deeper into the pose, meditating in the asana, like the approach that we discussed yesterday, what happens with excess pitta imbalanced personalities? Their whole effort during holding the asanas goes in finding perfection in that asana. Let me grab my toes, let me go further, let me do this. Oh, I'm not able to do it. And because they're a little competitive, they end up looking around and start comparing themselves also. This is what I observe in the group classes. And that's how, we teachers can easily of course, we're not doctors, I can't claim it 100%, but it's very easy for us to kind of get an overview of their prakriti, that what must be their prakriti, while how you approach your mat can tell a lot about you in a way. And what is your spirit when you're doing asanas, what happens. So these are some factors, where we need to work on with Pitta Prakriti. Okay, so today we will be seeing some of the practices, breathing practices, cleansing practices, which are beneficial for Pitta Prakriti. Before that, let's understand how asanas work with Pitta Prakriti quickly, like just 2 minutes, another. And the seat of Pitta. See, every Prakriti has its location in the body. So it is said that Pitta's seat, Pitta's main location is near small intestine, liver, and navel region. So this is where the seat of Pitta is. So there are two ways of balancing Pitta when we approach our yoga practice, asana practice. So one way is focusing on these areas that I just mentioned, the seat, the small intestine, navel region, liver area. So focusing there and stretching and opening that part through asanas can also help balancing the pitta in the body. So today you will see that how we're going to work more on some of the asanas which will work on the health of your abdominal region. So we are going to see that, okay? And another way is the approach that we discussed for Vata also yesterday for some of you who were there. For those who are not there, we also discussed that what you do during asana also has a lot to do with the energy that you want to change in the body. I'm calling right now your prakriti or dosha as energy, and the manipulation or changes in the energy also happens when you're moving the body, right? So how does asana works on 3 levels? We need to understand that. See, the first level is physical level. When you are doing any movement in the asana, obviously there's a tension and compression to that part, and some muscles are participating, the blood flow is going to increase to that part. So that is one of the physical benefits that we all derive from the asana. So there's another benefit of moving your body in physical practice is your energy body or your prana body, or how the prana shakti that we all have, the vital force, the energy that we all have, which is helping us to do our physiological functions better, that is also at work while we are doing asanas. Yeah. So right now I'm equating the word energy with our Prakriti also. So since the energy is one, but they are different according to its function. So one of them is Pitta, which is nothing but combination of fire and water. And their seat is what I mentioned near the navel region. So again, when we are going to move in a particular direction, we're going to open up that space, we're going to compress that space. So that is going to also manipulate that energy or that Prakriti over there. Okay. And the third aspect on how asana works in our body is mind, thoughts. So whatever meditative thoughts, calming thoughts that you have during asana is also going to impact the psychological aspect of that energy. Because see, most of you also said that pitta means aggression, anger, perfectionist. So these are some mental attributes of that energy, right? So which means that energy is not just giving us something to do with the physical body, but whatever prakriti we have is also working on our mind. So same way we have to also use the holistic approach of asana so that we make some changes in our thought patterns while we are holding that asana, respecting our prakriti, and then some changes can be brought to that energy as well. So what are the thoughts that I should be having, especially if I'm a pitta person while doing my asana? So this approach is a second method. First method is, I mentioned, opening and closing and compressing and stretching the pitta's seat in near the navel region. Along with that, combination of your thought. So now your thought process, your meditation, your active meditation while you move from one pose to another, especially if you are struggling with excessive pitta, should be of that non-competitiveness. You don't have to struggle in the posture. This doesn't mean that you don't have to strive for best, or you don't have to reach a perfect, sthiti in that asana. That doesn't mean like that. But while you are in the asana, you have to stop struggling and focusing on how are you performing the pose. You just have to be there in the pose. So if there is any competitiveness that is entering in while you're doing asanas or any exercise for that matter, then that attitude needs to be removed totally. And pitta personalities need to work more on relaxation and cooling down. This is the most important, because pitta equivalent to fire. That's what is happening to you every time, there's an imbalance. So instead of, what I see mostly what happens exactly opposite, pitta personalities keep pushing themselves in the pose silently. This is all happening silently. Maybe teacher may not be able to see it, but inside some war is constantly going on when they are holding the pose. And they are trying to, breathe little heavily, faster sometimes, and trying to get the best pose and struggling. I mean, there is no meditation, there's no calming in the asana, there's only struggle happening. This approach needs to be removed. And how will you relax in the pose? This is a great secret that is revealed in Yoga Sutras, also written by Sage Patanjali, that you need to take your awareness to all the active parts. For example, if I'm doing particular asana, let's say cobra pose, Bhujangasana. It's a posture where it's a back bending posture. So in cobra pose, obviously, I'm going to feel a lot that posture on my back. I'm going to feel opening of the chest and compression, stretch to my abdomen and compression to the back. So when I'm holding this posture, instead of correcting the pose and pushing and stretching as a pitta person, all I have to do is I have to keep my focus on the active parts. Okay, I keep my focus on the active parts. And second, I have to work on relaxing that part. Now, of course, it's a mechanical process to some. It sounds very mechanical right now, but it's very deeper. And how do you relax those active parts? With a nice constant meditation on that part through your breathing. So you have to breathe out and let go of the tension. Breathe out and let go of the tension is what constantly one has to do. basically the conclusion is you have to work on relaxing more in the asanas rather than being competitive and aggressive and performing the asana. That's not the spirit that you want. Yeah. So ideally, if you are doing yoga on your own or using a recording or something, Pitta people should have more relaxing instructions also. It should not be aggressive all the time. It's okay sometimes to push the body, working out, that's fine. But most of the time, try to connect to an instruction which is more relaxing in nature and something that is not pushing you all the time to do things. Okay. In a long run, if you continuously only are habituated to this one kind of exercise, which is pushy, 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 it's going to make you more aggressive person rather than, balancing your pitta. So this is your approach, cooling down the body. So, yeah, Janvi, it happens to me as well. Wonderful point. If the count is fast, come on, do it. And this irritation that starts to happen while we are trying to do exercise. I'm sure all the Pitta personalities, or even if you're not Pitta, but if your Pitta is in imbalance and this is not the approach you connect to, then it can happen. That's why even for me, I am Vata Pitta. So I remember not connecting to dynamic practice much. I mean, I loved it because I used to sweat nicely and the results were very fast to get a good body, and skin was glowing because, nice sweat was coming every day with that kind of dynamic practice. Results were really good, but mind was not at peace. Physical body was getting a lot of benefits, feeling very active also in a way. But then I realized I'm feeling hyperactive, not able to relax. I'm feeling some agitation is constantly going on. So when I couldn't connect to a lot of dynamic practice, but that's personal, of course. Tomorrow, when I speak of Kapha, you're going to see how my speech is going to completely change for Kapha people. Exactly opposite to what I'm talking right now. So yes, depending on the Prakriti, you have to be mindful what practice you're doing often. I'm not saying that Pitta people should not at all do dynamic, but keep it little rare, 20% out of 100%. 80% should be focusing more on the relaxing, cooling aspect. And especially when you're looking for some healing, any Pitta-related disorders in the body, inflammation, infections, fever, skin problems, acidity. So any digestive issues again. So all of this, if you are dealing with, you need to work on relaxing and cooling. And what is one of the secret technique to do so differently than other Prakritis is to breathe out through your mouth. This will help you cooling down faster. So cooling down for Pitta is important. So at times it's completely all right and perfect and recommended that you breathe out through your mouth. But of course, inhalation, never with mouth, please. Always, inhalation is always happening regularly through the nostrils. And exhalation is happening like as if you are whistling, but you're not whistling, you're just breathing out like this. This will help you to relax and cool down. Okay. So this approach and the sight, these two kind of approach to the asana is very important. That what are our thoughts, and we are relaxing the body parts, we are working on relaxing and cooling and not being competitive in the asana. Remember, just remove the competition out from the posture and your muscles will also respond to you better. What happens with Pitta Prakriti, I'll tell you why they sometimes don't progress in the asana the way others are progressing, although they are passionate, but they end up injuring themselves because they push. So another reason is because the more competitive or stressed you are mentally while doing that asana, or you are thinking about doing it best and you are having a lot of expectation of the result, then your muscles naturally become stiff. I'm sure all of you know the connection between stress and the muscle. You try to do asanas when you are in some mental stress. You either will give up the practice halfway, or your body will just not be there, will not reciprocate to you. You'll feel very stiff. This is a very common thing. We all may not have observed it, but if you now put your focus next time, you will see that your mental, if you are in stressful situation, your muscles are going to be more tight. So there is a straight connection between that. And what are the Pitta people doing constantly in competitiveness? So even they will either injure themselves or they will not get better in the posture because muscles are stressed with that thought that I have to perform, I have to do the best, I want to be perfect. So just removing the expectation out from the pose and relaxing and cooling is going to give them amazing progress as well in the asanas. Okay. So this should be your approach while doing all kind of poses. So again, of course, today I'm just going to share a sample asanas in this short class. But if you're already a yoga practitioner, you are doing all the asanas, that's completely fine. You have to work on focusing, doing some of the asanas regularly in your schedule, which focuses on the seat of your Prakriti, which is navel region, liver, and small intestine. So working on that, so putting some of the asanas which are targeting and having this approach throughout with whatever then you are doing. Okay. Sometimes you can do dynamic, but again, immediately Pitta people should also take frequent Shavasana if needed. So that is also one of the things. If you like to go for some dynamic practice, for example, you're working on the weight loss. So obviously you need to have some dynamic practice. We don't have to completely shut down on that. So that in that case, you should in between try to take some relaxation and work on the breathing out through your mouth. So that will balance your dynamic practice too and not make you more aggressive. Okay. So now let's check out some of the asanas, and specific breathing practices are really essential out there for cooling down the body. So we will be seeing that as well. So most of these asanas you will see are focusing on the stretching, compressing the abdominal region, especially the intestines that I spoke about, the seat of this Prakriti. So let's get started. You all can do it also. If you have a mat, then perfect. If not, even there are some easy standing poses we're going to start with. So you can do that. But remember the approach today. Try it out, especially if you're Pitta Prakriti and have joined this class. Try this out where you are trying to constantly cool your body and relaxing it instead of performing it or going for the perfect asanas. That's not what we want. Okay. I'm going to spotlight Ria. Yeah, fine, Ria, your angle is okay. Since we are going to work on the seat of Pitta Prakriti, I'll take up the questions at the end, maybe. So we will go for the practice now, but you can keep putting in the chat box if anything comes to your mind. Okay. So we are going to do Tadasana, Tiryak Tadasana, and Kati Chakrasana. This is a wonderful warm-up also, but at the same time, as a Pitta Prakriti, you have to keep your focus on the stretching happening to the abdominal region. Okay. And you have to do it. This is, of course, a little dynamic because it's a warming up practice, but you have to work on breathing out nicely and relaxing the muscles. Okay. And not on just overdoing things. So interlacing your hands together, fingers together, interlacing it, and then turning your palms up to the ceiling. Okay, and inhale deeply now. And lift your heels off the floor, stretch your whole body. And now breathe out through your mouth and bring your palms on top of the head. Inhaling, stretch up. Focus nicely on breathing out through your mouth. This will help you in cooling down and relaxing at the same time, warming up the body. But the Pitta imbalance will not happen if you breathe out properly. Exhale, bring your palms on top of the head. So you see, what are we doing? We are doing something fast also. We are warming up, we are stretching, but we are using our breathing as a tool to not let our body heat unnecessarily and bring more imbalance, rather to cool and relax. Again, inhaling, stretch up. And breathe out through your mouth, down. and release your hands from the side. You should do at least around 6 rounds of this practice on a regular basis. And this is also nice warm up. It will serve as a wonderful startup practice before you go for any asanas. Then we will do Tiryak Tadasana. So for this, you again interlace your hands together. Turn your palms up to the ceiling as you breathe in. And now as you breathe out through your mouth, you can try that. And then bend to your left side. Take a hip width distance between your legs. Inhaling center. Exhale to the right. Inhaling center. Exhale to the left. Inhaling center. Exhale to the right. And inhaling, come back to the center. Slowly release. So even for Pitta Prakriti, work on releasing and taking the asana slowly in a relaxed manner, not, in a passionate way. Okay, release and come to the next one. Go slow. That will also help. Now bring both of your arms on the shoulder level. It's a twisting now. Again, working on the abdominal region. So inhale deeply and exhaling, twist to your left side. See the wrapping position. You have to wrap your arm around and one hand comes on top of the shoulder. Inhaling center. Exhale to the right. Inhaling center. Exhale to the left. Inhaling center. Exhale to the right. And inhaling center. So this also can be done for up to 6 times each side. So total it will be 12. Okay. Now you come on your back, lying down position. So although we recommend standing asana like forward bend also, but not too much in Pitta Prakriti, because that again increases the heat, or rather to say heat, the mental energy is more aggressive in the standing position. So when we are healing, when we are trying to make our body better with that, we avoid some of the standing forward bends, etc. Although they work on the abdominal region, but we still avoid that. Okay. There's some asana that we did yesterday, which is like overlapping here, which is like we fold both of our legs in knees and bring our hands to the shoulder line. So this supine twist is also wonderfully working on the abdominal region. So now you have to bring both of your knees to the left side and roll your head to the opposite side. And you are nicely exhaling while you twist. Then again, inhaling, come back to the center. And now swapping over to the other side, both the knees to the right. And once more, you can repeat, slowly inhaling center. Both the knees to the left, rolling the head to the opposite side. Change once more, both the knees to the right. So work on nice breathing and relaxing. The approach is very important. See, the same asana is there. And relax. Okay. And now we will be doing leg raises. This is also very important again to target the abdominal region. Okay. But we are doing in a relaxing way and not the aggressive lifting. Slowly lifting up and trying to relax in that. So lifting the left leg up. And as you breathe out through your mouth, slowly lower down your leg back on the mat. Again, bringing your right leg up. And slowly bringing it down. Again, bring your left leg up. Bring it down. Right leg up. And slowly bringing it down. Very nice. And now slowly come to a supine position. Sorry, prone position. Lie down on your belly. Most of the asanas which are on the, when you lie down on the belly, are working very much strongly on the belly. So all of the asanas, some of them are little intermediate in nature. So I'm not introducing today, but I'll mention them. If you're already practicing it, so make a list that you surely do that. Especially, we'll start with the easy one called as Shalabhasan, the locust pose. So first we will do with one leg each, and then with both the legs. So this is little easier. And in this variation, if you want, you can also lift your head up, chest up, and keep your arms also in the front. There's a variation. Maybe we'll do it a little later. First, let's go for the classical one. So you can tuck your palms under your thighs. Yeah. And now all we have to do is just work on lifting our legs up and down, but we are doing with single leg first. So starting with left leg, as you inhale, lift your left leg up. Okay, good. Then exhale down. Then inhale, bring your right leg up. Exhale down. Okay, so this was easy and single variation. Now we will do with both the legs, but we'll add a twist here, which works better for Pitta Prakriti and focusing the seat of Pitta spot in the body. So bring both of your arms in the front, up above over your head, and you're going to keep them parallel. And all you have to do is a variation of Shalvasana now. Usually in Shalvasana, we only lift our legs, but here we will lift our arms and also our head, chest up. So it is going to be something looking like a boat here. We also refer to as a boat pose, but we will keep our arms parallel in this variation. So now you have to breathe in and lift both of your arms, legs, head, chest, thighs up. Yes, very good. And work on breathing out through your mouth and relaxing in the pose. And exhale, relax down. Very nice. Good. Okay. So this was Shalabhasan. You see, what happens is, there are some more poses, but I'm not sure if anybody has a back problem, has no yoga background as such. We can't take these poses immediately in this workshop, but maybe you can make a note of it. The Bhujangasana, the cobra pose with straight arm or bent arm. Then Dhanurasana, the bow pose. Again, they work. So maybe quickly, if you want to do, we will do it once. Riya can show you. But if you're not comfortable, if you have a slip disc, severe back pain, especially back issues like slip disc, you can avoid it. So for that, for Bhujangasana, you place your palms besides your chest. And now slowly as you breathe in, you lift up your head, shoulders, chest up, straighten your arms, or you can keep your arms folded depending on the variation. Keep your chest open nicely. Make sure you're not hunching your shoulders and popping them up towards your ears. Keep your shoulders back and relax, drop them down. This is also a wonderful posture, but work on relaxing here. Okay, and slowly breathe out and release. Very nice, everyone. The second is Dhanurasana. Please do it only if you feel comfortable this morning. You can try it later on if you want. Since I don't know the background of all of those who have joined today. So fold both of your legs in knees. Slip disc, hernia, peptic ulcer, avoid this. Menstruation, don't do it. Now grab your ankles from outside firmly. That is not happening. You can just keep your arms straight in the front and try to lift up the body. And now we're going to lift the head up, chest up, knees up, thighs up, and balance the body on the navel region. You see a lot of compression is coming now in Bhujangasana, Shalabhasana, Dhanurasana to the navel region. So take it easy, slowly skip this pose if you're not comfortable and slowly release. With practice, gradually, you're going to get there. So this asana is also very good for Pitta. Okay, relax. Just take a quick Makarasana. Makarasana is a relaxation pose similar to Shavasana, but we are in a prone position on the belly. So we do Makarasana. Legs apart, making a pillow with your palms, resting your cheek or your forehead on the mat or on your hands. Very nice. Now relax. Now what happens is some of the poses are challenging. So it is difficult to relax in that because you have to work little hard. So that's where you balance. If you're working on the seat of Pitta and the pose is not so relaxing by nature, like Dhanurasana, Bhujangasana, they are a little strenuous. They don't help you relax quickly. So at that time, you balance it by doing some relaxation pose like Makarasana or child's pose, so that that same energy of the active pose is not retaining throughout the class. You are able to relax and calm down also in between. So taking a smaller breaks like this also helps a lot. And now when you come up and release Makarasana, you do child's pose. Again, child's pose is very important to calm down, relax, letting go, breathe out, work on exhalations. So it gives you a wonderful opportunity to do so. So anytime resting the forehead on the ground, using your fist, using a pillow, in whatever way you can do it, it's always relaxing, internalizing experience. So even child's pose is one of the important poses that is highly recommended for balancing the Pitta Prakriti, cooling down and relaxing. Any kind of migraines and headaches with Pitta also, this pose is very good. And slowly release. Stay here as long as you like, otherwise in the practice, like up to a minute or so also is recommended. Now stretch your legs in the front for some sitting asanas. So complete forward bends are not recommended. I mean, you can do it, of course, but holding it for longer time, standing forward bend, sitting forward bend is not recommended. There's a variation of it. So this is called as Janu Shirasana, or we also call it as Ardha Paschimottanasana, the half forward bend. So for it's working on both. It is also internalizing and relaxing, and it's also working on the seat of Pitta. So fold your one leg in knee, starting with the right maybe, fold your right leg in knee and placing the right foot inside of the thigh. Knee is side to the sides. The right knee is resting to the side. And now raising both of your arms up. Something like forward bend only, but with one leg folded. Lengthen your spine nicely, go tall. And now breathe out nicely through your mouth and keep going forward, lengthening. No competition here, just letting go. All you have to work is surrendering to the gravity. Now let your hands reach wherever they are. Whether you want to touch your knee, shin, ankle, wherever, you can rest there. Hold the position and breathe. Work on surrendering rather than being competitive in the pose. Let's surrender to the gravity and focus on longer exhalations. Now breathe in, come up. And exhaling, lower down your arms from the sides. Swapping over to the other side now. Okay, again, fold your another leg in knee. Raise your arms up. And exhaling, go down. Focus on nice longer exhalations through your mouth. Breathe in deeply through your nostrils and breathe out, letting go, relax in the pose. Focus on your active parts and just letting go of all the tension from those body parts and relax completely. Now slowly again raising your arms up. And exhaling, lower down your arms from the sides. Now come to a regular sitting position, cross leg. Some simple side bends and twists that are also recommended for Pitta Prakriti. So any kind of side bends and twists that you know you have been practicing, you can do that. I'm showing the most easiest version of it today. But if you're already a practitioner and you know already some of the side bends and twists, you can incorporate that as well, but in a non-competitive spirit for a relaxing way. Okay, so simple side bend is raising the left arm up, lengthening the left side nicely, and now rest your right arm to the right side and bend to your right. Simple. Work on relaxing, focusing on the active parts, letting go, breathe out nicely, longer exhalation, and cooling the body every time through your breathing. Swapping over to the other side. Raising the right arm up now, resting the left forearm to the left side and bending to the left. Very good. And slowly release. Now you can do this a couple of times, holding it for longer, maybe relaxing. The twist is also easy. You can raise your left arm up, lengthen the left side. Placing the left arm, now left palm on the right knee, and you look over the right shoulder. Very nice. And now swapping over to the other side slowly. Raising the other arm up, the right arm, placing the right palm now on the left knee and look over the left shoulder. So any kind of twisting is also important. And slowly release. So you see the opening, stretching, tensing of this body parts, which we are working on the abdominal region, helps to release the heat from that part, help to release the excess heat. That's what we want in the Pitta Prakriti, right? So these are some sample asanas. You can also do inversions. Inversions are a little intermediate practice, you cannot take in this common workshops. But if you are already a practitioner, in inversions, I'm not recommending longer holds for Shirshasana. You can do it for your overall body's health if you have been doing. But again, it will little intense and ambitious pose, not recommended too much. But definitely in inversion, we recommend Sarvangasana for Pitta Prakriti. Especially if you have learned it well and you're able to relax and hold it for longer. So that brings relaxation to the nervous system. So Sarvangasana is highly recommended for Pitta Prakriti as far as inversions are concerned. So these were a few sample asanas. Now the breathing. Anulom Vilom is going to come everywhere. That's one of the best balancing, three doshik balancing breath. So we saw Anulom Vilom yesterday also, where we inhale through the left nostril. It's alternate nostril breathing. Inhaling left while we close the right one, then closing the left, then exhaling right. Again, inhaling right and exhaling left. Slowly, but in 4 counts at least, minimum 4 inhalation, 4 exhalation, and gradually improving. Again, as always, working on improving your exhalations and lengthening them longer helps to relax the nervous system or activate the part of nervous system which is responsible for rest and digest and relaxation. So working on exhalations is always recommended for both the prakritis, vata and pitta. Okay. And the another type of breathing that works fantastic even as a remedy, as a therapy, as a relief, quick relief, is our Shitali Shitkari pranayam. Yeah. So Shitali Shitkari, what is this cooling breath that we take in? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, can happen. High density sound provokes pitta. Definitely anything aggressive, hyper, loud can trigger pitta. Okay. So yeah, work on the breath will really help, I feel. So what is Shitali Shitkari breathing? Is where you roll out your tongue, make like a pipe-like structure with your tongue, and then you suck the cool air in. It immediately cools down the body instantly. So it's the technique is something like this. You stick out your tongue and suck the cool air in. Now by default, some of you won't be able to roll your tongue. So it's not a problem with you. It's the how your tongue is made naturally. So you don't have to worry about it. Let's try once more. See if you are able to do it. Stick out your tongue and then roll it. Whoever is able to do, can you feel the cool air inside when you do it? Yeah, you have to breathe in like this. And then breathing out is natural. Okay. Now, if you're not able to do this, no worries. The Shitkari is there for you. Same benefits, different technique. So for those who are not able to roll out the tongue. So here you have to tuck. This is the tip of your tongue, this part. This is the tip of the tongue. You have to tuck. You have to place the tip of your tongue behind your smiling teeth like this. And then breathe it. Or you can tuck the tip at the top of the palate. The same result, you get the cool air inside. Okay, so you try. Those who are not able to do Shitali can do this second one, Shitkari. And then minimum around 7 to 10 rounds you should do regularly if you are the one with a lot of acidity problem, migraine all the time, heat related issues, skin problems, you can always do. Only contraindication is, of course, when you are too much in the cold atmosphere, you might end up getting cold also if you end up doing this more. So depending on how your body reacts to it, you check it out in winters. But otherwise, those who have heat related issues can regularly add this up in their practice. Okay, so this was Shitali Shitkari, very, very important for curing acidity problems, heat related issues in the body. Okay, and also if you have some dental treatment going on, that time you should not do this because your tooth will be sensitive. And if you take the cool air in, it may not react well. So if you're going through that, just be mindful of doing this breath on a regular basis. And of course, Brahmari is also highly recommended. Again, for relaxation, that's what we want, right? Pitta competitiveness, we want calming down, relaxation. And I'll give you one technique on how do you save the time and combine. That's what this is nowhere in the scriptures, but my teachers, we used to combine these two practices with the lack of time. You can, for Pitta Prakriti, you can combine Shitali Shitkari and Brahmari together. Because Brahmari is only exhalation and Shitali is only inhalation. So you can combine the two. You can breathe in Shitali and breathe out in Brahmari. Of course, you have to keep your eyes closed and relaxation. All the instructions are, always there. You can't do it with wide open eyes and unrelaxed mind. You have to calm down, sit. So do that. Okay, so breathing in nicely and then breathing out, yeah, through your Brahmari. So, and cleansing technique, Vaman is very good for Pitta, because Vaman is working exactly on near the small intestine, navel region, liver, cleansing up. All the excess bile comes out through Vaman. So very good practice. Even there is master cleansing, Shankha Prakshalan, but that's a little advanced practice. You have to do it under guidance. That also helps in reducing the pitta in the body. But make a note of it. Maybe sometime when you get to a yoga school where you can get this done, you can do the full master cleansing. It's like a Diwali for the body. Diwali cleaning we only do once a year, right? We don't do frequently. So this is how the master cleansing is. You just have to do it once or maximum twice. But whatever I've heard, mostly once a year is fine. It's a full body cleansing. This also gets you rid of, excess bile in the body. And various other benefits are also there. For diabetes, it is good. For weight loss, for hormones, various benefits are there for total detoxing. So consider it anytime you visit an ashram or, find some teacher who can do it for you. Don't do it just reading on the internet. That's not advisable, especially the full one. So that is also one practice highly recommended. Okay. So these are some of the cleansing practice. You can do Kapalbhati and Bhastrika in Pitta also, but make sure the approach is of cleansing and not too many rounds. You don't have to do many rounds of this. Again, it's a heating practice little bit, especially Bhastrika and Kapalbhati, but you do it as a cleansing for your body, respiratory tract. Don't do it as, aggression or, get hyper. Same, if you feel a little agitated, which means you're overdoing the rounds. So you need to work on that. So these are some of the practices highly recommended for Pitta. But remember, for me, more than the asana action, approach is more important, where every Pitta personality is trying to work on relaxing and cooling down through awareness, through the different body parts, releasing the stress from that part, cooling the body. So remember this approach, and that will be a good help with any asanas that you do. Now I'm going to take up some questions first that I got in the chat box. Okay, how about Vata Prakriti? I don't know if we have covered Vata Prakriti yesterday, so I think the recordings will be posted soon on the channel. So later on, whoever missed yesterday's class can also see that. Would I be able to reduce weight if we cool our body? Yes, the approach is mental cooling. Body is not getting cooled when, in a way, body is not getting completely cooled down. When we are, doing Pitta asanas, we are still moving the body. So it's definitely going to help you. And remember, reducing weight is not just the asana, the job of the asana. Don't burden asanas with weight loss. They are poor, never meant for weight loss, actually, never meant for therapy, meant for some completely different purpose of life. But still, yes, we can take the help of it, but not solely depend on it. We have to work on various other aspects of diet, especially lifestyle changes, and doing asanas like this, and then it will help. Mostly Pitta Prakriti people also, I mean, if you're really Pitta, you think you have a moderate body, most likely. You do not, you can lose and put on weight very easily also, in a way. So it's both the things are easy for you, but you have to work on different lifestyle related changes also in that. High density sound provokes my pitta. Yes, so avoid high density sound as much as possible. If that is not the option, then breathing practices will definitely help in relaxation. Anulom Vilom can help, Brahmari can help, relaxation can help. So even I forgot to take that, lack of time, but try to do always a nice relaxation in between or at the end of the class for Pitta. Body relaxation, taking your awareness to each body part one by one and relaxing it. It goes for every Prakriti and every class in a way, but especially for Pitta, you have to work on relaxing aspect. So step by step relaxing is very, very important. Why do we get cramps in stomach? I'm not sure. You have to check the background, whether you're hungry or is there some other reason, is some pain? If you're a female, then if it's to do with the menstruation, the lower abdomen, upper abdomen, you have to define like why exactly. Maybe normally it's related to hunger sometimes, if it's purely on the navel side. Doing Ujjayi, yes. So Ujjayi is little funny breath, you know. Ujjayi, doing Ujjayi during holding the asanas is energizing. Maybe I would not say it heating. So yes, can be done. It's energizing, gives you strength to hold on to that asana. At the same time, luckily this breath has both the properties together, relaxing as well as energizing. Somehow the other, it works in this wonderful combination. So I can't say it's heating, but yes, it's energizing. So again, you don't want to over energize your body. And you are mindful in holding what poses a pitta should not be doing. In other poses, yes, you can use that breath. Legs get swollen after end of the day. Okay, creatinine issues, renal transplant, vata and pitta. Work on the intake of your water, diet, all these things are recommended for you. And doing regularly some exercise, joint movements, which we showed yesterday for vata, will be also very helpful, because any kind of water retention in the body, fluid edema, it leads to this swelling, where you need to be moving that part regularly, doing some joint exercises, so moving your toes, ankles every day without fail is really important. And work on the water intake and diet as well under doctor's advice, since you have this transplant done. Yes, that's true, Dharmi. Pitta girls get cramp before and during periods. What to do? Work on the food at that time. Let the diet be more sattvic, no refined food, no processed food. Otherwise, also it should be like that, but especially just before menstruation, it's nice if it is under more control, and some rest is needed for Pitta Prakriti, little more, because of the heat in the body. The whole cramp and the pain can be aggravated. So they need more rest. So little bit of rest is recommended for them. But trust me, when whatever Prakriti you have, when you naturally have more sattvic diet and you regularly exercise, your small, big problems will start to disappear for sure. So, yoga does not work on like a medicine, that I have this problem, I do this asana, do this asana. May not work like that. But put yoga in your daily life. And gradually, when you are consistent, you will realize that so many small problems will disappear. It will take time, few months maybe, but it will start to disappear. So regular exercise, proper diet is the best advice for that. Mainly diet nowadays with young generation is very messed up. And that's why they face a lot of issues. Unfortunately, even the sattvic diet is how much sattvic we don't know, but at least we blindly have to faith in something and eat something and have that. Yes, Vinaji, I mentioned this yesterday also. Correct. Your Prakriti can be Vata and Pitta right now. Like me, mine is Vata Pitta. But because it's going to get winter now, I may catch, if I have an ice cream, for example, I am going to catch a cold next day. So which means my Prakriti is Vata Pitta, but right now my Vikriti dosha is Kapha. Vikriti is some imbalance or disease or disorder, right? So that's completely, so I have to work that time on reducing my Kapha, which is already not a problem with me, to my Prakriti, but that is imbalanced right now. So yes, sometimes not all the doctors only check what is your Prakriti and now work on it. No, they will check on the Vikriti also. Okay, what's wrong with you right now? So working on that. So that's something you can find out and you will relate to it gradually. As you go deeper into the subject, you will know yourself that, okay, this problem has to do with this Prakriti. And even the doctor's guidance can help you. And then you start doing asanas and things like that accordingly. Yes, so you can have imbalance in others also, but that is mostly short-term imbalance, most likely, depending on how chronic your disease has been. But mostly I've seen that you have a chronic or a long-term disease of anything, which is your main prakriti. Others are temporarily will bother you little bit. For example, if I am kapha, prakriti, I have no problem. But then sometimes I go in the heat, I go in the sun, and I have acidity, or I eat something, I have acidity. So my pitta is always in control, but because I had some lifestyle changes, my pitta has gone up. So yes. Dharmi asks an interesting comment here. Family has all different prakritis, sometimes difficult to manage. I completely agree. You will go fanatic if you keep cooking and keep doing things with each prakriti. It's your home will be like a Ayurvedic clinic then, or some holistic naturopathy center where you cook different food. So don't freak out so much. Have a balanced diet. Even sattvic food in excess is not nice, right? So whatever you are making for all, if there is somebody who is vata, you can let them avoid more beans, etc. in the evening times. Always try to put ginger in whatever you cook, so commonly. So it's good for all, basically. Not too much, but good for digestion in a way. So, smartly doing things, cooking, it's not a problem. You don't have to open a clinic for pitta cooking, vata cooking, and kapha cooking. That will be really a headache and impractical, not sustainable at all. You'll do it for a week or maybe 2-3 days or so, and then you'll give up. So find a wonderful balance. Even Ayurveda says, right, you should have all 6 rasas in your plate. Work on that moreover than, considering everyone's prakriti. And if everybody is exercising nicely, having a healthy lifestyle, good sleep pattern, if trying to manage stress well, then most likely there will not be a major imbalance as such. But you don't have to freak out with different cooking all the time. But specifically, if somebody reacts to certain food, doesn't suit them, you be mindful of that on particular menu. That's it. Any special instructions for people having piles for Pitta Prakriti person? Lot of inputs will come from the diet, I think. So you can definitely refer to the Pitta Prakriti lectures given by our doctors. But what I would say is obviously a common thing that I'm advising is you should really avoid spicy, oily food. Avoid eating completely outside actually, because that triggers. Have regular timings of food. Avoid fasting sometimes. I have seen that during fasting, I have seen this with many patients, and some family members also have had this issue before, that long hours of hunger and then eating little more have triggered the pile again. And focus more on salad, fruits and vegetables, fiber-rich food, which will not create constipation. Because for piles, when you get constipation, it's a nightmare. So you should avoid constipation as much as possible by having fiber-rich food, which is widely present in vegetables, salads, fruits, fiber-rich food like that. So this healthy diet, eating on time, avoiding spicy and oily food will keep your digestive health better, and then you can manage this problem. If it's in a long term, of course, you need a doctor's guidance, and if there is any treatment needed for it, go for it. But make sure your diet is good. Keep doing pranayam, that cools down the body, Anulom Vilom Shitali Shitkari, so that can reduce the excess heat in the body. So work on that as well. For anxiety due to perfectionist and pitta, any specific affirmations? Yes, maybe. I mean, there are a lot of affirmations. You can yourself also find on the YouTube. If Veena ji, if you have my number, just message me. I'll personally also send you some affirmations. I remember it if you message me. I'm there on the WhatsApp group. But please message me only work related, because I won't be able to give, get back otherwise for various other messages. So please message me and I'll help you with that. And you just have to learn the attitude also of letting go every day Breathing out helps me a lot. Hearing some philosophy, reading our spiritual scriptures helps us to let go of our perfect nature. And we can be trouble for many around us, trust me. We perfect people, we feel that we are doing everything, we take that burden of responsibility that I am the one who is managing this. But trust me, we are a headache to others in the house sometimes, because we also want them to do things according to how we feel they should be doing. So we are like a silent controllers in the house where we feel that I am the doer. I am doing everything. In fact, I am the. So this is troubling us and more around people around us also. So just letting go will give you a lot of peace of mind. So that attitude has to come through your practice, sadhana, reading, and affirmations definitely will help. So you just message me so that I can do that. Okay. Neha says, post-pregnancy, I have accumulated a lot of fat in my lower abdomen. So we have some prenatal class on our YouTube channel, Neha. So of course, at prenatal class, I have also spoken about something on postnatal, what practices are help, but depends on how your pregnancy was, whether it was C-section, normal, and I don't know when was it. So you need to kind of give more light on that. And some of the practices like Surya Namaskar, plank positions, squats, they are going to definitely help gradually. And diet plays a big role. But depends on what stage you are in your post-pregnancy right now, when to start, how to start. I've given those details in that class. You can listen to towards the end, because the first part is mostly prenatal. The further part is postnatal a little bit. So focus on that. Okay, so Purneshwari, Mataji, I'm not covering the diet part here because our doctors have covered it wonderfully. So on the Govardhan Ayurveda YouTube channel, the doctors have been covering various Prakriti and the diet to that, do's and don'ts. So please refer that because it's in detail. Of course, right now I can tell few things, but it will not be justice to the whole class. Yes, fruit consumption. Fruit as a first serving of the day, highly recommended. Yes, but try to have non-acidic fruit, especially if you're pitta. Non-acidic fruit means jo fruit khatta nahi hai, the fruit that is not very sour is the fruit that you need to have at first in the morning. You can have melons, you can have other fruits, but acidic fruits, empty stomach, pitta will not digest it well. Maybe you'll feel more nauseatic. So apart from the acidic fruits, the other fruits, yes, big yes to starting your day with the fruit. Okay, normal delivery. Then just time and right exercises. Plank will help a lot. And all the other Surya Namaskar, the whole sequence basically of a proper yoga class will help. Diet, I'm not talking Miraji right now much. Maybe you can hear the doctor's classes. Which forward bend? You can do forward bend, but don't hold it for longer time. Paschimottanasana. Not holding. Standing forward bend also you can avoid, not holding for longer. That agitates the body a little bit. So holding it just for a few seconds. Okay, then I think we're done here. Any exercise I recommend for calf pain? Yes. Yesterday we had done for Vata. So try to check that recording, the initial part where we were doing joint movements. You have to stretch your toes in the front and relax your legs back again. So when you're sitting with your legs stretched out. And for example, these are my toes and these are my calf, for example. So to stretch your toes in the front and back. That'll help, and shaking them a little bit. Okay. And leg raises will also help for a proper blood circulation to that part. We did today, lifting one leg up, but don't take it mechanically. Try to do a full yoga practice. That will improve the blood circulation to legs, to other parts also, bringing the holistic pranic distribution. Don't take asanas like a painkiller. That because I will move my leg just for 3 minutes a day and then it will not work. go for a full sequence, but add this in this practice. Okay, there's nice. Okay, good. Thank you, Mamta, for your comment. It was helpful yesterday. Those who are hard workers like farmers do need full yoga or can be reduced. Yeah, it's okay if you have a lot of physical work, but I have seen what happens to farmers also nowadays. I'm staying in Eco Village, so we are in touch with people whoever is here has their farming thing also. They have a back pain and knee pain, leg pain sometimes. So there's only one-sided move. It's a labor, it's not a sedentary thing, it's a hard work, it's a physical action. But what I have seen is when it's only one-sided, they're going forward bending. There's no backward bending happening. There's no side bending too much happening, right? It's more of an exhaustion of those muscles. So I would still recommend that, yes, some asanas should be done to bring workout to all the muscles in the body. Farming can involve only too much of forward bending, which can actually give them more problem with the back. Provided, depends on them if they are having pain. But mostly I've seen they do develop, especially age related, 40 plus, 45 plus, they do develop back pains for sure, knee pain, back pain, because of this continuous squatting. So we are targeting only one side of the muscles, right? So you don't have to worry about the intensity, but more than intensity or reduction or increase of any yoga, work on adding some postures which has back bend, side bends, and twist, because they are only doing a lot of forward bend due to farming. Okay, then we will stop here. Thank you so much, everyone, for your enthusiastic participation. Tomorrow, we're going to discuss on the Kapha Prakriti. It's going to be fun. If you are looking for some nice dynamic practice tomorrow, do join in. That's what we have to do with Kapha people. So thank you so much. Spread the word. If you have anybody with this Prakriti, or anybody would be interested in the Ayurvedic approach, please spread the word so that maximum people can join in. Okay. Yes. Yes, correct, Mamta. Not only farmers, but females also need it. Bending in all the directions. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you, most of you, tomorrow as well. Thank you.